Shabbat Shalom. I want to discuss with everyone something very real in our Torah portion, and then the same story becomes also very hopeful. And I'm referring to a section we're actually going to read in our triennial, and it is found on page 949 in our Red Humashim, chapter 32. And it deals with the story of the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the Chetzi Shevet Menashe, half the tribe of Menashe, and their request to remain on the eastern section of the Jordan. So let's look at the text, and then I sort of want to get your thoughts about one aspect of it. The Reubenites and the Gadites owned cattle in very great numbers. Noting that the lands of Yazer and Gilad were a region suitable for cattle, the Gadites and the Reubenites came to Moses, Eleazar the priest, and the chieftains of the community and said, Atarot, Dibon, Yazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Eliah, Sebam, Nebo, and Beon, the land that the Lord has conquered for the community of Israel is cattle country, and your servants have cattle. It would be a favor to us, they continued, if this land were given to your servants as a holding, do not move us across the Jordan. So what are they asking for from Moses, based on the verses that we just read? Diane?
They want the east part of the Jordan because it was good land and they had their cattle and they were doing well there. They didn't want to leave their successful dealings.
They don't want to leave their successful dealings. So they're requesting to stay on the east. And why is this a request?
Because they were supposed to cross.
They're supposed to cross. What's on the other side of the Jordan, right? Right, the land of Israel. That's the whole. Right, we're going to make it to the other land. And the motivation that Diana hinted at for why they would want to stay is what? Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense economically. And it overlaps, but it's whether it be economic or just the space. The space worked for them. So is this a fair, my question now is everyone, is this a fair request or an unfair request?
It was negotiable.
Negotiable, Mark? Yeah.
It's a fair request as part of the captured land.
Part of the captured land. Okay, makes sense. So far it doesn't seem so negative. It seems like a very fair request. It makes sense. And by the way, perhaps a request that we can relate to. Those of us living in the United States, we appreciate the space. We're here because of the economic opportunity. Perhaps because of the cultural space we have to express ourselves. Pretty fair, something that we can understand and relate to. And now we're going to look at Moshe's response. And I want you to, as we're listening to this, give me a sense of, what is the tone of Moshe's response? Moshe replied to the Gadites and the Reubenites, are your brothers to go to war while you stay here? Why will you turn the minds of the Israelites from crossing into the land that the Lord has given them? And we jump down all the way, and you can read along. He makes references to the sin of the spies. Verse 14, and now you, a breed of sinful men, anashim chataim, have replaced your fathers to add still further to the Lord's wrath against Israel. If you turn away from him and he abandons them once more in the wilderness, you will bring calamity upon all his people. What is the tone of Moshe's response here? See, Catherine, did you say it?
Outrage.
Outrage. And anyone else get another sense, Diana? Yeah.
I think he's stressed.
You hear a stress. They ask a yes or no, and they get a long answer. And any time, when you ask a yes or no question, sometimes parents or loved ones, whatever, we're asked this question, or we ask a colleague, whatever, a simple question, and we get a very long answer. We get a sense that there's some stress. There's something really pent up right now that Moshe is feeling. Yes?
It wasn't on his bingo card that they would be asking for that.
He wasn't expecting it. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yep.
He's prejudging. He's calling right off the bat, he's sinful man. He's also, okay, let's talk this through.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. I get that sense too, that he is prejudging them, that there's something going on here in terms of how he is hearing this request that is very much influencing his response. Michal?
I might not have heard what everybody else said on that.
That's okay.
He's making a lot of assumptions here based on the past.
He is making a lot of assumptions based on the past, right? Prejudging, making assumptions here. Yes, something is triggering Moshe. Yes. Moshe's language is very strong. Yes, here, 100%. Yeah, it lends to the fact that he is definitely carrying something with him in his response here. And I began by sharing the story that we're going to have here is a very real story. And I like this part of the Torah because Moshe is portraying what it means to be a frustrated teacher, a frustrated leader, a frustrated parent. He is conveying a lot here. And oftentimes, I reference that one of the beauties of the Torah is it's a very real story. That these aren't fictional characters. It's not a fairy tale, but it's a story that presents itself in many ways, definitely moments here, as being very real and therefore very relatable. So let's try to take a step back here then and understand what Moshe might be carrying. And before I share some ideas that I'm thinking about, what do you think is triggering Moshe? What's bothering Moshe in this request? Yeah.
He's seen what's happened in the past, he clearly says, so he's learning from history. Don't want to make the same mistakes. And the second thing is he needs the bodies to help get in and conquer and settle.
He's carrying the past with him, very much so. And what specific part of the past are you getting? Or just in general?
In general.
Yeah, fair enough. I would just say he quotes the sin of the spies. They didn't have faith that they're going to make this land. He would be like, wait a second. We've already been down this road, and here we go again. You don't have faith. We're going to make it land of Israel. Oh, well, I'm very frustrated about that. And the second piece that you shared, Neil, is that he is thinking practically. Oh, wait a second. We're going to need bodies here. And without these tribes, we're going to have a real problem. Very good. Anyone else? Michal?
He's kind of run out of thinking about solutions. He doesn't propose the solution, they propose the solution. You would think if he had been maybe younger, less burned out, more optimistic, he might have entered into some kind of discussion with them.
Yeah, very nice, Michal. You're pointing out that he is carrying with him, perhaps because of experience, perhaps because of age, an inability to think creatively or with solutions. And I think that's why this story sets itself up to be a liminal moment for Moshe. Right? This is the end of Numbers, and it's understanding where we're going allows us to appreciate just how challenging a place Moshe is in at this moment. So yeah, he can't think in a place of solutions. He's just like, you want something I can't answer. It's not on the map. It's not on the bingo card, as Diana said. Why are you causing me problems? Good. Yeah, Catherine.
Could it be frustration? Because they're near the finishing line, and all they want to do is get to the land of Israel, and all these guys want to go.
Frustrated. We've been going all these years to make the land of Israel, and now you're saying no? He's carrying frustration. Yeah, very good. Okay. I want to share with you perhaps three lenses that can motivate why Moshe is answering how he is. The first, and many of these are going to overlap with some of the ideas that have already been shared. The first is historical, and I want to quote Rashi here. Rashi goes back in the direction, and to Neil's point, these are general themes of why Moshe could be like, oh, here we go again. And Rashi, though, pinpoints the beginning of these tribes. And as a result of their history, he's going to question their motivation. And what do we know about Reuben? Reuben is the firstborn of the children of Jacob. And one of Reuben's, and you'd think that Reuben would be the person who would merit being all the blessings that follow with the tribe of being a firstborn, and he does not. And the moment in Genesis where Reuben misses out on this is how he responds to the trick of Joseph, who says, I want Benjamin in order to, invite everyone back to the land of Egypt. And Reuben's response is, and Benjamin is with his father Jacob, and Reuben goes to his father and says, if I don't come back with Benjamin, you can take my 2 children. Reuben's response is to offer his 2 children. The person who persuades Jacob to release Benjamin and allow him to go down to Egypt is Judah, who says, I will be the surety. I will be the one who accepts responsibility, and I won't come back if I can't successfully bring back Benjamin. And this highlights 2 leadership styles. Reuben offers someone else as an surety, but Judah is the one who offers himself. He puts himself on the line. And it is Judah, by the way, who then merits ultimately the great land. It is Judah that carries on the legacy because of their land. We're known as Jews, all because of Judah's leadership style. Whereas Reuben is viewed as someone who is willing to put others before him. And maybe Moses is saying, well, wait a second. We see someone here, this is Reuben moving again for the other people to do the heavy labor and protect the land of Israel while they remain back and enjoy the good cattle country. Menashe, poor Menashe, my Hebrew name, gets a bad call in the Bible, but according to the traditional understandings of Menashe, he's the firstborn, but he does not merit the first blessing because he thinks about himself. God, by the way, very little is known about God, G-A-D, but Rashi recognizes the blessing that Jacob gives to him, or Israel gives to him at the end of Genesis, and God is actually known as being very strong. And there's actually a very interesting collection of biblical characters in the Torah that are either very good looking and very strong, yet at the same time don't trust themselves in their strength, don't trust themselves in their good looks. And that's part of Jacob's blessing to God of you're very strong, but you don't have that inner confidence. And here we go, God being the toughest, perhaps, tribe out there, the best warriors, and here they are, according to Moshe, saying up, but they don't want the action. They want to stay behind. So Moshe might be confronted with the historical experience of these tribes, and that might be triggering him. 2, there might actually be a philosophical halachic debate going on. One that is best expressed in a conflict between Maimonides and Nachmanides. Maimonides was one of the first, it was part of the culture of the Rishonim, that generation of rabbis that wanted to codify all of Jewish the laws. Right? The Torah does not say, chapter 1, here's law 1. Maimonides is one of the first people that really try to put it together in a systematic fashion. And one of the laws that is not in the book of Maimonides of law is to settle the land of Israel. According to Maimonides, it is not a law that you were obligated to go to the land of Israel. Nachmanides comes along, says, no. It actually is a law. We are all obligated to go and live in the land of Israel. This is actually a famous halachic debate, and you can actually see it being perhaps unfolding right here. Moses saying, oh, wait a second. We all got to go to the land of Israel. This is the plan here. This is our main law here. And the other tribe saying, oh, wait a second. Maybe peoplehood, maybe there's other aspects of this journey out of Egypt that is important. It's not as necessary to go to the land of Israel. And the third, referenced already, is a practical piece here. Well, wait a second. Well, what are we going to do next? How are we going to make it through this land if we're not united? And this is all hitting Moses. And perhaps this is the central conflict of the Bible leading up to this moment about what do we do when we make it to the boundary of the land of Israel? Should we go in? Should we not? Are we going to be brave? Are we going to be cowardly? What is going to happen precisely at this moment? And as we look at this moment, we can read into our own current experience of what is ultimately going to be the relationship of the Jewish people with the land of Israel. Are we going to be ones who settle outside? Are we going to be ones that have confidence? Where is it going to land? And right now, it rests with Moses and these two tribes to figure out this conflict, or leave this as a dispute that won't get resolved, and one that we carry with us to this day. And what happens if we read on in chapter 32? But these two sides, they figure it out. And they make an amazing compromise. And this is the beauty and I think the seeds of hope that this text gives us. So what happens is, Vayigashu Elav. This is a beautiful word. They step up to Moses. Now it looks like, they stepped up to him as if, but I think Vayigashu also means to approach. It's like they knew, wait a second, we're not our grandfather Reuben, or we're not our great-grandfather God. No. We've learned the lessons of the wilderness, Moshe. That's not us, right? We understand your fears here. And they approach him. They want you to really see who we are at this moment. Perhaps also, when you see a teacher or a parent that is stressed or angry, to approach and be like, no, we don't want to argue. We respect you. We love you. You can read all of that into Vayigashu. And here's what they propose. We will build here sheepfolds for our flocks and towns for our children, and we will hasten as shock troops in the van of the Israelites until we have established them in their home, while our children stay in the fortified towns because of the inhabitants of the land. We will not return to our homes until every one of the Israelites is in possession of his portion, but we will not have a share with them in the territory beyond the Jordan, for we have received our share on the east side of the Jordan. The main piece here is we will, Vanachnu, Nachaletz Chushim, right? The word of chalutzim, right, comes from this. It will serve as shock troops, meaning we will go and we will conduct the battle. Moshe, I know you're worried logistically about who will be in the battle to conquer the land. We're there. I know you're worried about us staying in the background and letting other people fight the battles. No. We are not Reuven. We're not God. We are a new generation. We are going to stand for it. We're going to have that confidence. And 3, they offer this beautiful halacha compromise of we will not live in the land of Israel, but we will fight Israel's battles. Israel will be a part of who we are. And they offer this beautiful compromise, and Moshe responds as, if you do this, if you go to battle as shock troops at the instance of the Lord, and every shock trooper among you, basically Moshe says, okay, that plan is going to work out. So the tribes offer a compromise, and in response, Moshe, the person who is holding the law, who is holding the responsibilities of the land of Israel, makes a space for these tribes to live outside the land. And in a day and age where we are trying to understand what is our relationship with the land of Israel, it's wonderful to see from the perspective of the diaspora tribes that they will stand with Israel and they will always make sure that Israel is with them. And from the perspective of Moshe, who is setting his people to go live in the land of Israel, he will also create a space for them in the land to live outside. So I think it's a beautiful text. Someone mentioned earlier that you see a lot of frustration in Moshe. He's at the end of his rope. He's very tired. And I think all that is true up until this moment. Because here's a moment where he says, wait a second, I'm not going to be set in my ways. I'm going to hear the other side, and I'm going to find an alternative solution, which is an example of Moshe showing wisdom. And it sets up the last book of the Torah, where Moshe, who couldn't speak, who couldn't express himself, creates one of those beautiful works of literature, the book of Devarim, that unpacks how we are going to be a people in the land of Israel. So may we also find a way to live in harmony with each other, and may we always learn from Moshe that it's never too late to express wisdom during challenging times. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Rabbi Earne, before you finish, I love your message and I like what you have to say. I want to add a fourth. You had three different things. I want to add a fourth because I've always understood it, Moshe's response, not about them, but about him.
Yeah.
Because I've always seen Moshe's response actually as a moment of jealousy. He can't go into the land of Israel.
Yeah.
And everyone else can, and now you're saying you don't want to. It's the one thing that he really wanted to do.
Yeah.
And these people are saying, nah, we don't need to. And I see that anger as a moment of jealousy for Moshe.
Yes.
And the Vayigashu actually comes to quell that
Yes.
a little
Yeah.
bit as well. And so it's a great story. Yeshkach.
Thanks.